Next up, the person I have known on the stage, I think, longer than anybody except for Anna, is Jeff Perz. I first met Jeff, God, it must have been 20 years ago, probably. And I had just written a book called Reign Without Thunder, The Ideology of the Animal Rights Movement, in which it was when I was really beginning to see that the welfarist position was completely problematic, and I wrote a book explaining why. And I heard there was this young graduate student in Canada who wanted to discuss the book and had certain issues with it, and I thought that meant that he had disagreements with it, and this wasn't tolerable. And so I said, let me meet this guy, let me find out what his problems are. And it turned out we've now been great friends for 20 years. And you know, one of the things I really like about him is that animal rights is not just an abstract matter. It never can. If it ever becomes an abstract matter, you've lost sight of it. You always got to remember the individual animal. You know, every night we post on my page the New York City kill list, you know, of all the animals that are going to be killed the next day. And we always say, adopt an animal of any species. And I'm telling you something, that's an important part of animal rights activism. Domesticated animals are here because we put them in the mess. We have an obligation to do something about that. So we should all adopt, you know, animals, as many animals as we can of any species. You know, if you've got the resources to do it, give a home to a homeless animal, because you know you can say, well, what the hell? What am I doing? You know, if I give a home to one animal, there's still trillions of other animals that are going to be killed. And the answer is, for that one animal you save, you change the entire universe. Now, I am totally opposed to domestication. If there were 2 dogs left on the planet and it were up to me whether they continued to breed so that we could have pets, the answer would be not on your life. I think that domestication is a violation of animal rights. We ought not to be having any domesticated animals in the world. We ought to stop. We have to stop bringing these animals. However, we've got them here now, and we have an obligation to do something about that. And one of the things that I really, you know, that just tells me who Jeff is. Last night we're all walking home. It was Anna and I were walking, and Mariana was with us, and Damon, and Jeff, and his partner Gabrielle. And we saw this really sick rat run in front of us by people, into people's, you know, running across from the street into people's park. And the rat was really ill, and we tried. It was really interesting that you know, Gabrielle had taken a wildlife course, and it was great. You know, Jeff took off his shoes and gave her his socks, and she put them on her hands, and Damon went and got a towel, and I called a vet, and they said, you know, you can bring the rat in, and we tried, and we couldn't get the rat. The rat went into a burrow or whatever, you know, in the bush. And this morning when then we all went back to the dorms. We're all staying in the dorms, and so we went back to the dorms. And this morning I found out that Gabrielle and Jeff and Damon had gone back, I think, a couple of times, right, to try to find the rat, and couldn't find the rat. But you know what? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, this is not an abstract thing. You know, animal rights is the rat. You know, animal rights is helping individual animals. Jeff Perz has got an enormous amount of integrity. I know him, I love him. Jeff.
Hello, everyone. As we have heard from Gary Francione and others at this summit, legal campaigns, even when successful, do not benefit non-human animals. All single-issue campaigns are counterproductive. The only actions that will bring about the abolition of animal use are first going vegan yourself, and then helping as many other people as possible go vegan. The abolition of all animal exploitation will only come about when we have a vegan world. What practical actions can we do now which will create as many new committed ethical vegans as possible in the shortest span of time? There are many answers to this question. Each person on this panel has provided a very helpful answer, and I am sure at least one of our answers will resonate with you. Find a method of vegan activism that works for you, and make sure it is consistent with the 6 principles of the abolitionist approach to animal rights as developed by Gary Francione. Then get out there and do it. It is the only thing that will improve the situation for non-human animals. In the past, I have had one-on-one conversations with people, persuading them to go vegan by providing reasons and answering their concerns. At the moment, my partner Gabrielle and I are reading Gene Sharp's classic 3-volume book, The Politics of Nonviolent Action, It is full of so many practical strategies that have successfully been used in human rights struggles. I am hopeful that Gene Sharp's book will inspire me to think of powerful strategies and actions for creating new vegans. Again, the book is Gene Sharp's The Politics of Nonviolent Action, and it comes in 3 volumes. The practical grassroots strategy for vegan education that I am presenting to you today is something I have been interested in for a long time. I would like to have an all-in-one podcast, vodcast, and FM radio show. The focus will be on human rights with progressive politics, and it will include a segment on abolitionist veganism. The idea is to avoid having an explicitly vegan show for the purpose of attracting as many non-vegans in the audience as possible. If the show had 4 segments, there would always be one segment that clearly and powerfully argues for ethical veganism from the abolitionist approach. The placement of that vegan segment would always vary from show to show to keep the audience guessing. Hopefully, the human rights theme of the show as a whole would draw in progressively minded non-vegans who are receptive to the abolitionist vegan message. There are many podcasts, vodcasts, and YouTube channels that attract millions of listeners and viewers. Some of them are about video games and other mindless pursuits, and some of them are about serious progressive politics. They have very large global audiences. The kind of broadcast that I'm talking about would start out very small and hopefully attract a larger audience over time. Local community radio stations are often happy for people to get broadcasting training and start new shows. Those same FM radio shows can then double as podcasts or vodcasts. Even though I am shy, and even though I am far from the greatest vegan educator out there, I have had success helping people go vegan. If I can do it, anyone can do it. My personality would be suited to an indie news style broadcast. 3 or 4 segments of my show will be independent progressive news, and 1 segment will be an editorial persuading people to go vegan. As the show develops, I could have interviews or even a live advocacy discussion between a non-vegan and a vegan educator. That's what I have in mind for my show, but if you did your own broadcast, you could make it into anything you want it to be, anything you're passionate about. As long as you are vegan, as long as you educate yourself first on the abolitionist approach, and as long as the ultimate purpose of your show is to make new vegans. Read Gary Francione's books, join an abolitionist reading group online conducted by the International Vegan Association. After you have a better understanding of what the abolitionist approach to animal rights actually is, you will then be ready to start doing your own grassroots activism. It could be a podcast, or it could be any of the good ideas my fellow panelists are talking about today. Further inform yourself about the abolitionist approach, and then go out there and become a vegan educator. Help us build a vegan world. Thank you.